Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Live Music's LiveWire. We have a very, very special occasion tonight because we brought back two-time alumnus, Mr. Mike Shepard. He's here representing the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, of which he is the head guy. And he's got a very important event coming up on November the 16th at the Texas Club at 456 Donmoor. He is having an induction. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
I've got a makeup show. I did the first one 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I said then I was going to do this every 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. I didn't. So it's 13 years.
Well, we've had enough stuff from floods and the pandemic kind of slow things down for everybody.
Yeah.
So it has made things a little more difficult.
Well, this is my pandemic slowdown.
Well, now this is something else that we need to feature for everybody. This is with Christmas coming up. A marvelous, marvelous coffee table book, informational book. This is Mike's own book right here. It's called Shepherding the Music by Mike Shepard. It's about the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame and some of the great people that have come through here. Many names you might not have thought of, which also dovetails right back to this induction we're having. We're having some people come in here on the 16th at the Texas Club that you may not realize are associated with the music business in Louisiana in particular. But some really, really great people, some posthumously and some current. Just to give you a little list here, Johnny Cash, Farron Young, Tony Joe White, and believe it or not, associated with the Louisiana music world was Keith Thibodeau. A lot of people don't recognize that name, but most of us that grew up from the 1950s all the way through today know who Little Ricky on I Love Lucy was. It's Keith Thibodeau from Lafayette. So he was Little Ricky.
And he's the only survivor of the cast of I Love Lucy.
That's true. Nowadays, yeah.
He's 72 now. Wow. Can you imagine how old the rest of them were?
Well, they're gone now.
Yeah.
But, you know, so many others. Dr. Isaac Greggs. Doc Greggs was quite
guy.
A card. He was an old buddy of mine that headed up the Human Jukebox at Southern University. Alvin Batiste, who on the other side of campus had a jazz program that was just unbelievable. O.C. Smith, tremendous musician. And besides Ray Charles, King Floyd, we also have one of the guys you want to feature in particular, I believe, which is Plas Johnson.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about old Plas for us all.
Plas was born in Donaldsonville 93, 94 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's still alive someplace. I haven't been able to locate him. He's a tenor sax player, was with the Wrecking Crew in Los Angeles for decades. The Wrecking Crew, for those who don't know, is probably the baddest studio group in the world.
Every album and song put out all through the 1960s, the Wrecking Crew pretty much did.
And the 50s and the 70s and the 80s. And, you know, the names are incredible. Plas is one that people haven't heard of, and he happens to be from Donaldsonville.
Well, there you go.
Plas did, Henry Mancini recorded all his stuff with the Wrecking Crew.
Right.
Bread was part of the Wrecking Crew.
Right.
All those guys. Glenn Campbell was the house guitar player. Joe Osborne from Freeport was one of the two house bass players. They were just incredible.
Well, now Plas is famous for a particular phrasing that he did for Henry Mancini.
Yeah, and Henry Mancini is his biggest fan, or was his biggest fan, should we say. He recorded a soundtrack, opening title, for a Henry Mancini movie that won Henry Mancini an Academy Award on Monday or Tuesday when it was, and it won him a Grammy on Friday the same week. Since then, Hank Mancini has bowed to him. It was called The Pink Panther.
And we all recognize that saxophone lick, that's for sure. Now, you know, besides old Plas, you know, some of the other people that may not be associated with being musicians themselves, we have Well, let's talk about those DJ guys. I won't mention any names here. I'll let you bring it in.
In 1953, there were 2 named DJs at 2 opposing AM stations. One was, everybody knows the name, the Wolfman, Wolfman Jack, started his career in Shreveport.
Okay.
And the other one was a guy that was ejected from the Air Force, and they had a huge base in Shreveport. And he went looking for a job. They let him go, the Air Force let him go, gave him a cab ride to Texas Avenue in the middle of downtown Shreveport. He got out, was walking around a little bit, and saw a record shop. And he went to the record shop, and the guy was just locking up the front door. He knocked on the door and said, "Please." It was Stan Lewis that owned Paula Records. Paula Records did a lot of work in the 50s. Buddy Guy started with Paula. Bobby Charles started with Paula. John Fred came to Paula in the 60s. Joe Stampley came to Paula in the 60s. It was actually a big label.
Yeah.
And it was Stan's record shop. So Stan Lewis was locking the door. And he said, "Man, I'm looking for a job. The Air Force let me go." He said, "Well, we go honorably discharged or dishonorably?" He said, "They didn't tell me. They just let me go, so they couldn't use me." He said, "Okay, it's a little strange, but what kind of job are you looking for, buddy?" He says, "Well, I used to be a DJ. Does that count some?" Stan said, "It could very well. I have a record shop. I own a record label. I have several name acts that work for me. It's possible." He said, "Well, the other thing, I'm trying to get into stand-up comedy." And Stan said, "You're in 1953 in Shreveport. There's no likelihood of that. Just really kidding. I'm from Chicago. Now, if you were in Chicago, I'd say, yeah, we'll get you a job as a stand-up comic. There's plenty of hotels and stuff that would do that." And he said, "Man," he said, "Are you okay? You don't look so good." He said, "I hadn't eaten all day." He says, "You have any money?" "No, sir. I'm flat broke." So the Air Force let you out with no money and whatever. He said, "You want a sandwich? I can make you a sandwich by the counter and give you Coca-Cola. That'll work." He did that. He found the guy a job as a DJ on the other side of town. His name was George Carlin.
There's another one associated with Louisiana. Now, aside from those guys, which are now both in the posthumous category,
Yes.
we have some marvelous new inductees, and some of these guys are going to be performing. The performances are going to be really nice. We've got Lane Hardy going to play, Chase Tyler, Jonathan Boogie Long. He's someone special. Eddie Smith, he's coming in, being inducted this on the 16th. The guy's tremendous. Knows 500 songs, I swear. The guy's just
At
a
least.
machine. Joey Decker, who's been around for a long time, plays with the LaRue Band these days.
Well, Joey's in the Hall of Fame already with LaRue.
Oh, with LaRue, so he's coming in on his own.
But we are bringing Robert Hubbard in,
Okay.
who's a personal favorite of mine.
Yes. Robert Hubbard is a wonderful guy. You got Hoyt Garrick and Tariva Henderson. Oh, my goodness. Who's an alumnus of this particular program. Tariva is wonderful. She's funny. She's talented. Incredible. Incredible. Debbie Traylor. We have Brian Romano, Peggy Polk. Some great performers going to be there that night. People that are inductees, people that are performing. If you go, you're going to have a great time. So the real key is for everybody to get out on November the 16th to go to the Texas Club and watch this particular program, be part of history.
Now, I got 2 you may have missed.
Okay, who might those be?
Buddy Flett from
Okay.
Shreveport, who is on, I think it's his second Grammy he won a couple of weeks
Okay.
ago.
All right.
And Buddy had 2 huge bands out of Shreveport. One was the Bluebirds, and the other was the A-Train from Shreveport. Very popular local bands with a regional following. The other one you may have missed is Yvette Landry.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette is from Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette is an author. That's how I got to know her. She wrote a book on Warren Storm.
Okay. All right.
And Warren was a great guy.
Mm.
And Yvette thought the same too. So she did a book on him. But Yvette is a really good Cajun and country singer.
Mm-hmm. And obviously now one who catalogs the information. So,
Well,
as you can tell, anybody that has the opportunity, you want to be at the Texas Club on November the 16th to get a chance to be part of this historical and memorable moment here, hosted by none other than Mr. Mike Shepard for you here, and he'll be out there that night too. So we want to have everybody come out there. Mike and Mark Rogers will be happy. I tell
yes,
you
they
that.
will.
Yes,
They're
they
being
will.
inducted.
They're going to be inducted too, and they deserve it. They're some great guys.
I started that with Jimmy and Selma
Uh-huh.
from the Willow in New Orleans.
Okay.
Because Jimmy brought in act after act of New Orleans acts to the Willow.
Mm-hmm.
People, the Cold, that nobody ever gave gigs to. Were great. But Mark and Mike do the same thing with country music.
Yes, they do. And well, they've had country, they've had rock, they've had all kinds of things. But there for a while, they had all the major acts that were touring from the west to the east stop in Baton Rouge on a weekday night.
Yep.
And they'd pick up a show here, so we got the great entertainment for less. And Mike and Mark are always somebody you can count on to bring something here. So it's nothing but a marvelous, fun-filled evening. We don't want you to forget about Mike's book, Shepherding the Music, as Christmas comes around. This is something you're all going to want to have, especially after you go see this show. You're going to want to have this book, and you're going to see the next one that comes out after from this.
And I can highly recommend it because it's G-rated. There's nothing nasty or crazy in it. You've read
No,
it.
but it gets downright dirty with the music, I'm telling you. Not
Well,
dirty, but
and
just
it's
got
all-
the grit of Louisiana in it.
It's all real.
Yes.
I wrote every bit of it from memory. It took me several months of double doses of Prevagen to get my memory back.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
a lot of my shows go back to 1965.
Oh, well, we talked about that in some of those other interviews back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Attorneys, children, and all that stuff. So, look, Mike's been doing this a long time, so we're talking about an expert here. So you can count on it. It's a great show. So we want everybody to come out there. And we want to thank you guys for coming out to check us out here at Live Music's LiveWire. We certainly will have more shows coming after this. We want y'all to come and subscribe to our page. And we want you to share it with everyone you know. Besides things like this we're talking about, we have a whole series of cartoons. We've updated them, so we definitely want you to come check those
And
out.
Bob, something I want to interject at this point.
Sure. Okay.
So we don't.
Miss it.
Yes.
Okay.
Which we did before.
Uh-huh.
Dolly. Who cut her first records in Lake Charles, Louisiana, for Gold Band Records and Eddie Schuler, who owned Gold Band Records. She was 12 years old, 4'6" high, and recorded a hit called Puppy Love.
Well, this is something that is, I'm glad you brought that up because, people coming to get rewards sometimes actually show up to come get them. Might be a very special night right here in Baton Rouge.
I got my fingers crossed on that one.
Hey, she's a busy lady, I know, but this is a marvelous honor.
She's got
To
a
be
heart,
part of the
and it was her
Louisiana-
first
Was a
success.
12 years old, my goodness.
Yeah.
And she's been with us a long time, but right here in Louisiana, that's where it all starts for everybody. It's all going to carry on for a long, long time. So thank y'all for coming to see us. Don't forget, Texas Club, 456 North Donmoor, November the 16th, 7 p.m. till.
Doors open at 7. Show will start around 7:20, 7:30. And Mark told me, I've seen you do 6 and 8 hour shows before. I want to close this place at 10, so 4 hours would be more than enough.
Yeah. It'll be a rush, but we'll get it through. All right, Mike, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. You guys don't miss it. Thanks for coming by. Live Music's LiveWire. See you next time.